All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha. The headlines. Goa becomes first Har Ghar Jal certified state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 10 crore rural households in the country provided piped water connection under Jal Jeevan Mission. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia among 15 persons named as accused in CBI's FIR in excise policy scam. 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023 to be held at Indore in January next year. At least 7 people killed and more than 2 dozen injured in a road accident in Pali district of Rajasthan. Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra suspended following heavy rainfall in Bhavan area of Jammu and Kashmir. Sovereign Gold Bond Scheme 2022-23 Series 2 to open for subscription from Monday. Russia to allow UN officials to visit and inspect Zaporizhia nuclear power complex in Ukraine. And in cricket, second ODI of the 3-match series between India and Zimbabwe to be played today in Harare. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said 10 crore rural households of the country have been connected to piped clean water facility. He termed it as a big success of the government's campaign to deliver water to every household. Mr. Modi said this is a great example of Sabka Prayas. The Prime Minister was addressing the Har Ghar Jal Utsav at Panji in Goa under Jal Jeevan Mission through a video message yesterday. Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant and Union Jal Shakti Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat were present on the occasion.
हमारी सरकार बीते 8 वर्षों से इसी भावना के साथ वाटर सिक्योरिटी जल सुरक्षा के कार्यों को पूरा करने में जुटी है। ये सही है कि सरकार बनाने के लिए उतनी मेहनत नहीं करनी पड़ती, लेकिन देश बनाने के लिए कड़ी मेहनत करनी होती है और सबके प्रयास से होती है। हम सभी ने देश बनाने का रास्ता चुना है, इसलिए देश की वर्तमान और भविष्य की चुनौतियों का लगातार समाधान कर रहे हैं। जिन्हें देश की परवाह नहीं होती, उन्हें देश का वर्तमान बिगड़े या भविष्य कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता।
The Prime Minister congratulated the people of Goa for becoming the first Har Ghar Jal certified state where every household is connected to piped water.
मैं इस उपलब्धि के लिए हर देशवासी को और विशेषकर माताओं बहनों को बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, देश ने और विशेषकर गोवा ने एक उपलब्धि हासिल की है। गोवा देश का पहला राज्य बना है जिसे हर घर जल सर्टिफाई किया गया है। दादरा नगर हवेली एवं दीव और दमन भी हर घर जल सर्टिफाइड केंद्र शासित प्रदेश बन गए हैं। बीते कुछ वर्षों में देश के हर बड़े मिशन में गोवा अग्रणी भूमिका निभाता जा रहा है। मैं गोवा की जनता को, प्रमोद जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को, गोवा की सरकार को, स्थानीय स्वराज की संस्थाओं को, हर किसी को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
Mr. Modi informed that 1 lakh villages in different states of the country have turned open defecation free plus.
कुछ साल पहले सभी देशवासियों के प्रयासों से देश खुले में शौच से मुक्त घोषित हुआ था। इसके बाद हमने संकल्प लिया था कि गांवों को ODF प्लस बनाएंगे, यानी कम्युनिटी टॉयलेट्स, प्लास्टिक वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट, ग्रे वाटर मैनेजमेंट, गोबर्धन प्रोजेक्ट, ऐसी सुविधाएं विकसित की जाएगी। इसको लेकर भी देश ने अहम माइलस्टोन हासिल किया है। अब देश के अलग अलग राज्यों के 1 लाख से ज्यादा गांव ODF प्लस हो चुके हैं। इन तीनों अहम पड़ाव को पार करने वाली सभी राज्यों को, सभी गांवों को हम जितनी बधाई दें उतनी कम है।
The Central Bureau of Investigation or CBI has lodged an FIR against Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Manish Sisodia, in the alleged violations of rules and procedural lapses in the new liquor policy. 14 other persons, including excise officials, liquor company executives, unknown public servants and private persons, have also been named in the FIR. Delhi Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena had recommended a CBI probe over alleged violations of rules and procedural lapses in the policy. During the search operation, Mr. Sisodia said he will give full cooperation in the investigation so that the truth can come out soon. He said till now, many cases have been filed against him, but nothing came out. Senior BJP leader and Union Minister Anurag Singh Thakur said, no matter how hard a corrupt person tries to prove himself innocent, he will still remain corrupt.
भ्रष्टाचारी जितना मर्जी ईमानदारी का चोला पहन ले, वो भ्रष्टाचारी ही रहता है। और आम आदमी पार्टी का भ्रष्टाचार एक बार नहीं कई बार देखने को सामने आया है। जो मुद्दा है शराब के ठेकों में हुए भ्रष्टाचार का, और इस विभाग के मंत्री हैं मनीष सिसोदिया जी। जिस दिन सीबीआई को जांच दी, उसी दिन शराब नीति को वापस लिया। अगर शराब नीति में कोई घोटाला नहीं था तो उसको वापस क्यों ली? क्योंकि शराब के ठेकों में भ्रष्टाचार हुआ। शराब के ठेकों में दिल्ली में भयंकर भ्रष्टाचार हुआ। अरविंद केजरीवाल और मनीष सिसोदिया की सांठगांठ सामने आई।
The 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023 will be held at Indore in January of next year. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi in a tweet said that Secretary, Consular, Passport and Visa Division Ausaf Saeed and Chief Secretary of Madhya Pradesh Iqbal Singh Bains signed a memorandum of understanding for hosting the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. On the occasion, Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan was also present. Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is celebrated every year on the 9th of January to mark the contribution of overseas Indian community in the development of India. It also commemorates the return of Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa to India on the 9th of January 1915. An Indian Air Force contingent has reached Australia to participate in Exercise Pitch Black 2022. The exercise is being held in Darwin till the 8th of next month. This is a biennial multinational exercise hosted by the Royal Australian Air Force. The Defence Ministry said that the exercise will see the participation of over 100 aircraft and 2,500 military personnel from various air forces. The Indian Air Force contingent comprises over 100 air warriors deployed with 4 Su-30 MKI fighters and 2 C-7 aircraft.
In Rajasthan, at least 7 people were killed and over 2 dozen injured in a road accident in Sumerpur town of Pali district last night. The incident occurred when a tractor trolley and truck rammed into each other. The injured have been admitted to Sirohi and Sumerpur hospitals. The injured and deceased were on their way to Ramdeora temple in Rajasthan from Banaskantha district of Gujarat. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has expressed condolences over the loss of lives in a road accident in Rajasthan's Pali district. In a tweet, Mr. Dhankar said he is anguished by the loss of lives in the accident. He prayed for the speedy recovery of the injured. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has described the accident in Pali, Rajasthan as saddening. Mr. Modi said his thoughts are with the bereaved families in this hour of grief. He also prayed for a speedy recovery of those injured. An Indian parliamentary delegation led by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla will be attending the 65th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference CPA at Halifax in Canada. This conference is scheduled to be held from today to the 26th of this month. The conference will also be attended by 23 presiding officers and 16 secretaries from the state legislatures from India who are also members of the CPA.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra was temporarily suspended following heavy rainfall that created flash flood-like situation in the Bhavan area yesterday evening. The Himkoti track was closed for the Yatra. A flood-like situation was reported in the Banaganga and Himkoti areas. According to reports, the upward movement of Yatra was stopped from Katara as a precautionary measure. A senior Shrine Board official said that there are no reports of any casualties or property damage and the situation is under control. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will pay an official visit to Brazil, Paraguay and Argentina from the 22nd to the 27th of this month. This will be the first visit to the South American region by the External Affairs Minister. During the visit, Dr. Jaishankar will meet the top leadership of these countries and his counterparts. The External Affairs Ministry said Dr. Jaishankar will inaugurate the premises of the newly opened Indian Embassy in Paraguay.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh interacted with the Jawans of Indian Army and Assam Rifles at headquarters of Assam Rifles South in Imphal yesterday. Mr. Singh was accompanied by the Chief of the Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, and other top Army officers. During the visit, the Defence Minister was briefed about the counter-insurgency as well as border management operations on the Indo-Myanmar border to maintain peace and tranquility in the region. Speaking on the occasion, Mr. Singh appreciated the officers and soldiers for performing their duty with courage and conviction despite challenges posed by terrain and weather and improving the security situation in Manipur. The Defence Minister exhorted the forces to keep the national flag high through unflinching dedication, asserting that the nation can achieve absolute potential only when its borders are safe.
मैं आपके प्रोफेशन को मोर देन प्रोफेशन मानता हूँ, मोर देन सर्विस मानता हूँ। आप ये सोचेंगे कि हमारी सेवा को क्यों मान रहे हैं? इसलिए मैं मानता हूँ कि जरूरत पड़ने पर अपना सब कुछ न्यौछावर कर देने की तड़पन और इच्छा यदि किसी के अंदर होती है तो हमारे भारत के सेना के जवानों के अंदर होती है।
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with a series, Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani Ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio.
आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ स्वतंत्रता के 75 वर्ष का उत्सव, जीवंत यात्रा की स्मृतियां, स्वतंत्र भारत की उपलब्धियां और कुछ रोमांचक पल। तो आप भी जुड़िए और सुनना न भूलें 15 अगस्त से प्रतिदिन हमारे FM गोल्ड 100.1 और दूसरे चैनलों पर आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ।
In today's episode, we bring you the story of Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
As the first Home Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, Sardar Patel played the key role in the integration of the 565 princely states into the Indian Federation. Even today, he is remembered as the man who united India. Mahatma Gandhi had said to Patel that the problem of integration of the states is so difficult that he alone can solve it. Patel was considered a statesman of integrity with a practical acumen and resolve to accomplish a monumental task.
छोटे छोटे जो वाड़े हैं उससे बहुत नुकसान होता है और जिस चीज से मुल्क को फायदा नहीं होता है इस चीज से आकर हमको खुद को भी नुकसान होता है। वो चीज हमें समझ के हमें जो हिंदुस्तान आज सदियों के बाद एक हुआ है और एक मौका मिला है और एक अवसर हमारे पास आया है वो गुमाना नहीं चाहिए।
He invoked the patriotism of India's monarchs, asking them to join in the independence of the nation and act as responsible rulers who cared about the future of the people. While encouraging the rulers to act out of patriotism, he did not rule out force. He persuaded almost every princely state to accede to India.
जब सार्वभौम सत्ता हिंदुस्तान में से अपना बिस्तरा लपेट के चली और जब उसने ऐलान किया कि इधर पैरामाउंट से खत्म होती है, उस समय पर मुल्क में क्या होगा और मुल्क एक रहेगा या तो उसका टुकड़ा टुकड़ा हो जाएगा, उस बारे में बहुत लोगों का अलग अलग ख्याल था और बहुत लोग चिंता में गिरे थे। लेकिन जो राजा महाराजाओं थे उसमें से बहुतों ने काफी स्वदेशाभिमान बताया और भारत की सरकार को साथ दिया। उसके लिए मैं आज इन लोगों को धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं।
Sardar Patel is also remembered as the patron saint of India's civil servants for having established the modern All India services system.
आजाद भारत की बात आकाशवाणी के साथ can be accessed on @AIR News Alerts on Twitter, News on AIR official YouTube channel, News on AIR app, Facebook and Instagram handles. So tune into All India Radio News for Azad Bharat Ki Baat Akashvani ke saath.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Goa becomes first Har Ghar Jal certified state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 10 crore rural households in the country provided piped water connection under Jal Jeevan mission. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia among 15 persons named as accused in CBI's FIR in excise policy scam. 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023 to be held at Indore in January next year. At least 7 people killed and more than 2 dozen injured in a road accident in Pali district of Rajasthan. Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra suspended following heavy rainfall in Bhavan area of Jammu and Kashmir. Sovereign Gold Bond Scheme 2022-2023 Series 2 to open for subscription starting Monday. Russia to allow UN officials to visit and inspect Zaporizhzhia nuclear power complex in Ukraine. And in cricket, second ODI of 3-match series between India and Zimbabwe to be played today in Harare. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
मुट्ठी भर अंग्रेज और हमारे विशाल देश पर राज करने का स्वप्न देख रहे हैं, पर हम इनके स्वप्न को चकनाचूर कर देंगे। निकल पड़े स्वाधीनता के पथ भाले, स्वतंत्रता संग्राम की सुनी अनसुनी कहानियों के साथ स्वराज हर रविवार रात 9 बजे DD नेशनल पर।
Welcome back to the morning news on All India Radio. Russia has agreed to allow UN officials to visit and inspect Zaporizhzhia nuclear power complex located in southeastern Ukraine. The site has been under Russian occupation since early March. Russian President Vladimir Putin said that UN officials will be granted permission to visit and inspect the power plant complex. The announcement was made after a call between Putin and French President Emmanuel Macron. Earlier, UN Chief Antonio Guterres had said that he is concerned about the situation at the plant. The Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency has welcomed Mr. Putin's statement.
In Morning Matters, now let's listen to a discussion on expansion of voting rights in Jammu and Kashmir. The participants are Akshay Raut, former Director General of Election Commission of India, and Neelabh Srivastav, journalist.
The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Electoral Officer on August 17 declared that the state is likely to get around 20 to 25 lakh new voters after the summary revision of electoral rolls that was done for the first time February 1, 2019, the same year when the Union government abrogated the Article 370 from the state and later bifurcated into 2 union territories. Mr. Raut, my first question to you, what is the summary revision of electoral rolls, which is also at times called the purity of the voter list?
Let's get down to the basics first. Article 324 of the Indian Constitution, which gives the country elections and Election Commission of India. What does it say? It talks about the conduct of elections little later. It first talks about superintendent's direction and control of the preparation of the electoral rolls. And that's precisely what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir today. The preparatory activity for the special summary revision, which will make sure that a pure electoral roll is in place for any possible election later on. That's happening. And let's not give too much of importance to this 20-25 lakhs of voters who are going to be enrolled. That's perhaps an estimate that could be premised upon the census data because there is a particular way in which the new population grows. And mind you, particularly the electoral roll revision has not taken place after 2019 at all. The last electoral roll revision was with reference to 1/1/2019. But the fact is that there is a 3-year clear gap within which it's quite possible there is a lot of people who become eligible to be enrolled in the electoral roll. And most of them will be new voters who become age 18 and above. And they have the right to franchise. And they need to come on the electoral roll if you want to make the electoral roll authentic and correct. We have some change in the ground situation. Article 370 has been abrogated. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir has come into place. There is a delimitation that has taken place which has added some more assembly constituencies. And most importantly, if you recall, and let's tell our listeners, that there has been a major change in the RP Act through the legislative process. What's that? That is, there have been now 4 dates on which voters could register them for the first time in the electoral roll. Earlier, it was only 1st of January of each year. Now it is 4 times. 1st of January, 1st of April, 1st of July, 1st of October. So once that is done, the Commission must have thought it appropriate because of the long gap during which the rules revision has not taken place, and to avail the new opportunity of an additional date being available. That is why the summary revision which is going on and which is making a bit of news is with reference to 1 October 2022. So in this situation, if certain rules have changed, certain other things have happened which are political and legislative, the Election Commission has to implement it that way. So that is going on precisely.
Mr. Rao, the ground situation has been different now, but the number of voters, which is estimated to be again as between 20 to 25 lakhs, does this also lead to an increase with regard to the election-related infrastructure?
Yes, there is a lot of task in the hand of the election management machinery, particularly as it relates to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Doesn't matter when the election comes, and that is the domain of the Election Commission of India. But as we already know, possibly an additional 600 polling stations are being put in place. Because, as you said, when we have a substantial increase in the number of electorate and the size of electorate, then we need all the facilities. We need polling stations, we need electronic voting machines, we need to that extent security, which is considering the special situation which always develops in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. In the past, we need security reinforcements and poll officials. We need all the facilities that are required for a larger electorate.
Mr. Raut, you have seen the Election Commission's work very up close. You have been with the Commission. The overall aim of the Commission, as you very rightly said in the last point, that increasing the percentage of voting, all-inclusive election, where no one is left behind, someone is migrant also is included. So I think the overall scheme of things by way of publication of the revised rolls of the electoral list and also this new facility where one can register as a voter for is an overarching kind of a system where the Election Commission wants more and more voters to vote so that the overall voting percentage increases. Your brief comments on this, Mr. Raut.
Yeah, Nilavji, you're right. So we should not focus too much on the state of Jammu and Kashmir. I think we need to focus and see Jammu and Kashmir summary revision through the overall philosophy of elections in India. Yes, for the last about 10 years, there is an attempt that all who need to be registered, who are qualified to be registered, should be on the roll, and all who are on the roll should vote. The voter turnout in a mother of democracy, to again use the Prime Minister's recent words, and we have been described as gold standard of elections by dignitaries from outside. It doesn't do a lot of merit to us if our voting percentage stays at 45, 50, 55, 60 level. We must move into the next. Perhaps in the 75 years of India's independence, we should move into at least a 75% of voting that a lot of people have talked about it. And that's very correct. We must move in that direction so that the voting almost becomes universal. And in that respect, the summary revision, whether in Jammu and Kashmir or anywhere, plays a big role indeed.
Thank you so much for your comments, Mr. Raut.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on expansion of voting rights in Jammu and Kashmir. The participants were Akshay Raut, former Director General of Election Commission of India, and Neelabh Srivastav, journalist. Sovereign Gold Bonds 2022-2023 Series 2 will be opened for subscription starting Monday. It will continue till Friday. The Finance Ministry said the issue price of the bond during the subscription period will be 5,197 rupees per gram. The government, in consultation with the Reserve Bank of India, has decided to allow discount of 50 rupees per gram from the issue price to those investors who apply online and when the payment is made through digital mode.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh paid glowing tributes to the Indian National Army veteran Major Ishwar Singh at a memorial service held in New Delhi yesterday. After laying a wreath at the urn containing ashes of Major Ishwar Singh, Mr. Singh fondly recalled his meeting with the INA veteran about 3 years ago in Singapore. He said that India will not forget the sacrifices made by the soldiers of the Indian National Army and its leader Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The minister added that Netaji was the epitome of values and ideals, and he fought for values and never compromised on the ideals of freedom. Mr. Singh also said that, contrary to perception, Netaji had a great respect for Mahatma Gandhi, and he took lead in terming him as the father of the nation. The U.S. Defense Department has announced that it would provide a new $775 million in additional military assistance to Ukraine. According to a senior defense official, the package will be sent through the Presidential Drawdown Authority. In this assistance, the U.S. will give 15 Scan Eagle drones to assist with targeting reconnaissance for Ukraine's artillery, 40 mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles that will allow the Ukrainians to move through mined areas, high-speed anti-radiation missiles, and 1,500 tube-launched, optically tracked wire-guided missiles.
Moving on to sports, in cricket, the second one-day international of the three-match series between India and Zimbabwe will be played at the Harare Sports Club in Harare today. The match will start at 12:45 p.m. Indian time. The visitors will be eager to wrap up the series as India had won the first ODI by 10 wickets to take a 1-0 lead in the three-match series.
Now let us have a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius and maximum will be nearly 34 degrees. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature was 25 degrees Celsius and maximum will be 30 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius and maximum will be 34. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius and maximum will be 31. Srinagar will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain, and Jammu will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Leh may have mainly clear sky and Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All the dailies have mentioned the landmark milestone of the Jal Jeevan mission of providing piped water connection to 100 million houses. The pioneer says Goa becomes the first Har Ghar Jal certified state. India achieves another milestone in hygiene and safe sanitation. Over 1 lakh ODF plus villages, cites the statesman. IRCTC invites bids to use booking data, writes Hindustan Times. 1.5 lakh West Pakistan refugees to be part of J&K electoral rolls, reports the Tribune. India part of 17-nation pitch black air exercises in Australia, focusing on large forced employment warfare, is another headline in the Pioneer. The Economic Times on its front page quotes Finance Minister saying India better placed now, investments up, inflation should soften. And finally, the Times of India writes about Haryana's Manisha Kalyan, the first Indian among both men and women to play in the topmost European Champs League.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Goa becomes first Har Ghar Jal certified state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says 10 crore rural households in the country provided piped water connection under Jal Jeevan mission. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia among 15 persons named as accused in CBI's FIR in excise policy scam. 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas 2023 to be held at Indore in January next year. At least 7 people killed and more than 24 injured in a road accident in Pali district of Rajasthan. Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra suspended following heavy rainfall in Bhavan area of Jammu and Kashmir. Sovereign Gold Bond Scheme 2022-23 Series 2 to open for subscription from Monday. Russia to allow UN officials to visit and inspect Zaporizhia nuclear power complex in Ukraine. And in cricket, second ODI of 3-match series between India and Zimbabwe to be played today in Harare. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.